Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken not given, joined as always by John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics, and we are so back, baby. Are we not, John?
We are so back. You know what I realized, TJ? I don't think we
What's
ever
that?
told. We never told anyone we were going anywhere. So we just disappeared last month in the middle of a government crackdown on protests, and I wonder if anyone drew any conclusions from that. Because I realized that today. I was like, well, I never really said, hey, we're taking a break this week.
That's really funny. I'm trying to remember who it was. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Somebody messaged me on Instagram, one of our loyal listeners, and they said, "Hey, you guys should talk about topic XYZ on the show today." And I said, "Oh, actually, John and I won't be doing the show either day this week." But and I just thought about that just now. Who was it? Fuck, I can't remember. Oh, was it? Oh, it was Kyle. Yeah, I think it was Kyle. And so, yeah, yeah. But we're okay, folks. Everything's all right.
It's very funny, TJ. Like we always say to email us at the Left Wing Pod. I swear to God, I definitely check my DMs from people more than I do the Left Wing Pod email. So that is another viable way to get questions for the show. This is the Q&A show for the Left Wing that we do every Tuesday at 6:30. So definitely feel free to ask any questions that you have for us. There has certainly been a lot that's gone down over the past week since we've been here, TJ. Where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, it was Colby, by the way, not Kyle. Wrong K. I was looking at there that I sold that. But yeah, so I feel like this isn't the primary topic because obviously, the world is going to war. So we may want to go over that sometime soon. That's why I put in the topic for the caption. But since we're probably not going to get a chance to talk about it much anymore, can we talk about Trump's military parade that happened this last weekend? Yeah, that was I was stunned, John. I could not believe how shitty this parade was. I mean, the United States military has plenty of problems, of course, but parades are not generally one of them. The Army is pretty good at keeping folks in step and putting on a decent presentation for the rubes that love seeing their bread in circuses. And the fact that they dropped the ball on that genuinely shocked me. I was not expecting. I know the Trump administration is pretty incompetent, but I thought at least they could make people walking and guns and tanks and marching bands look presentable, and they failed to do that. That was pretty wild.
TJ, if there's one thing in the world that fascists are supposed to do better than everyone else, it's military parades.
Yeah,
that is their calling card, and he somehow fucked this up. I agree with you, TJ. I don't know what I was expecting exactly, but I was expecting a lot more. Obviously Trump is incompetent and stuff, but we always say this, he's a great showman. He understands show business. I'm shocked that this was the most boring looking military parade I've seen in my entire life. I've seen better local parades here in Philadelphia than that military parade was. It was sad. There was the squeaky tank wheel, that no one was marching in unison. I didn't have high hopes, but wow, it was so disappointing.
Yes, disappointing is the word, right? Because it's funny, if it had gone excellently, I wouldn't have praised it because that's what I expected. Once again, it's not Trump ordered the parade to happen to an organization that does parades every week, right? It's not like this is new ground for the United States military. And there's a few things I want to reference there. So those of you might remember during Trump's last administration, he wanted the military parade as well. Mm-hmm. And it ended up not happening because they said, well, Mr. President, that'd be cool, but you said you want tanks in this parade, and tanks would destroy the roads. We can't do that. That would be a nightmare. So I thought that would stop them this time too. I fully expected that. But then they said they're going forth. Oh, how are they going to do this? And they did it by using 100-year-old tanks, basically, which is why they looked like shit and they creaked and everything. So, okay, so they used tiny tanks. That
makes sense. I was wondering why the tank, because I was I know we got cooler looking tanks than that. Those were such shitty tanks. They looked like, something out of a museum.
Yes. There are some awesome tanks we have out there, and it looked tiny and underwhelming, and it creaked because they put different treads on there, newer treads to put less stress on the roads. And someone made a funny comment about how we went to war for oil and didn't even use it for the tank. Very funny. I can't remember who said it, but that was really good. I wish I could take credit for that, but that was not a TJ original. And the troops marching out of unison, that shocked me the most, because like they're walking for their pass and review for the commander, in this case the president, and they're not walking in step. They look like hot garbage. And I don't know if you've seen this, but I've seen a lot of people saying that this was malicious compliance on an act of defiance by the troops. No, I don't believe that for a second. That's not how this shit works. People in the military are kind of known for taking orders, right? That's the whole reason they're there. They're the people least likely to say, nah, fuck it, I'm not going to do that. Not the group of people that end up, raising their right hand and swearing their allegiance to the state. Not those type of folks. My guess is what happened is at that part of the parade when they're marching in front of Trump, when it looked all shitty, you also had like Creedence Clearwater Revival playing over loudspeakers and everything. And I'm guessing that the only units I saw that look good were the marching bands, because they had their own music, in formation. But if you have someone calling cadence or trying to call cadence and you can't hear them, and you got like 70s rock playing over the speakers, they probably realized they probably had 2 or 3 days to prep for this, not nearly enough time. And they said, okay, it's going to look like shit anyway. Just route step march. And for those who know, route step march is a permitted command by regulations. You can tell your troops to basically walk anywhere you want and not bother being in step. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. That if someone directed them to walk that way, because that's what it looked like. It didn't look like half the people were in step and half the people were doing their own thing. No, nobody was in step. That's my guess there. I know it's cool to imagine the troops all giving the middle finger to the president. Nope, sorry, that is not how it works. But it's a cool fantasy folks have. I hate to squash it, but that's almost certainly what happened, if you ask me.
I mean, honestly, like, yeah, it's a fan. There's no way. I agree. Like, there's no way the troops were intentionally doing that. But it's like basically Trump gave the middle finger to himself. Like, he threw himself a massive birthday party that sucked. Like that's just icing on a day, by the way, where there was record-breaking protests across the country that had way better attendance than his birthday party, and you just see it on the feed of his disappointment in his eyes. Like, there's not much that can give us actual wins right now. Like, wins are not the things that we can acquire. We can gain momentum, we can accomplish things, but in terms of like actual tangible benefits to our country, there's not much we can do at this current moment. But we can make Donald Trump sad, and that was worth it. Was manna from heaven to me, TJ. By the way, before we move on, because it's just like every day there's just craziness. So like we still have to cover LA, we have to cover what happened to David Lander, we have to cover Iran, Israel. We're probably not going to get it all today on our hour-long show. So definitely, if there's something you guys want to hear today, let us know in the comments. We'll be back tomorrow, not Thursday, at 6:30 for our regular 2-hour show to kind of catch up on everything that we've missed. But before we get off of Saturday, the protests, I thought it was very stupid. Did you see the infighting we've had on the left over those damn protests?
Oh boy, which one was it? Was it that if you got a permit for a protest, it wasn't a real protest, or your signs of the protest were? I pick your point. What was it? Which complaint is it this time?
All of them in general. Let me just hear. I assume we are in lockstep on this. Better lockstep than the soldiers.
Let
me hear your thoughts.
No, yeah. So listen, I hate it because it's like weird because I think if you were to ask most people where we fit in this in the left wing, in the left or liberal side of it, we're clearly on the left side, right? Like we're clearly there. All our positions, all of our suggestions, all of our policies that we have, even a lot of our tactics are left. But man, there are some leftists that are just fucking obnoxious, man. They're just driving me insane. I can't. I mean, And it shouldn't surprise me because there's a lot of these folks that are genuinely anti-electoral politics. Like anything, it's like we joke about the firebombing the Walmart when they won't actually firebomb the Walmart. Like if you guys aren't willing to throw the first brick of the revolution, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear this, that you guys aren't really doing anything with the protest. This is nonsense. It's stupid. That's where I'm coming from. What about you?
Yeah, no, so there are times when I agree with those sorts of people, right? But like this isn't one of them because they are just having a fundamental misunderstanding of what a protest is or does. Because they're like, oh, well, if it's not disruptive, if it's not sustained, all this yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, yeah, you're right if that was the goal of this kind of protest, but it isn't. Not every single thing you do has to be the most radical action you can take in order to advance positive change. You have to meet people where they are to a certain degree. A random suburban white woman isn't going to suddenly, don Antifa gear and start throwing bricks at police cars. They're not going to do that, right? But some of them eventually might. And the purpose of these mass movements is A, to demonstrate momentum, to be organized, and to C, get a big top of the funnel to push more people down to the more radical actions that these leftists are advocating for. Because they have no plan for outreach. They have no plan for getting more people involved, the critical mass of people they need to actually stage a violent counter-revolution, which they aren't doing, by the way. Nope. As you pointed out, they're not firebombing the Walmart. But even sure, I'll agree with you. That's definitely a viable option at this point. But like, you're not doing it, and the only way to get more people to do it is to push more people into civic engagement. Seeing millions of people across the country civically engage, many of them for the first time, is only a good thing. It's only a good thing. You can say there's more to accomplish, and I will say, fuck yeah, I agree with you. But if you say it's somehow a bad thing that this is happening, they're siphoning energy from the left. What fucking energy, bro? If you had the energy, why didn't you use it? So how the fuck are they siphoning it off? Like, I don't even understand the basic fundamentals of their argument at this point.
I think it's kind of like I always say that the Tea Party didn't have a majority, but they act like they do. Mm-hmm. And I think they're trying to channel some of that. I don't like to admit this any more than anyone else, but leftists got to realize we are very much a minority, right? We don't have anywhere near the numbers to enact the policies and the life and the social structure that we want. We don't. We have to work with people who are tangentially related to us. Like Lenin would agree with us, by the way. Lenin would never say, "Oh, don't work with the liberals that are Russians." No, he would work with them to get what he had done. And I don't know. It is, and I do want to correct myself on saying something that I do criticize performative stuff from people who are in power. I'll do that all day long. Like we shit on Cory Booker for his 25-hour or 27-hour filibuster thing, and sure enough, a month later, he had a book out about the same thing. And I say, and who did he vote for? He voted for like Jared Kushner's dad or something like that. Yes,
ambassador to France or something.
Exactly. So yeah, that stuff I will dunk on continuously, but I'm not going to deride someone for doing something like showing genuine enthusiasm. Why would I take that away from them? I just don't understand. Like, what's the goal here? I will work with as many people as I need to. In fact, John and I both, we do not really shit on people who didn't vote for Kamala. We don't. I was like, I got it. Like, if that's a hell of a good reason not to vote for someone. But I don't see, it's not all of them, but I don't see a lot of courtesy from those folks, and the same. It's like, oh, well, you sold out. Say, all right, if that's how you want to see it, fine.
Did you put that up?
Oh, I didn't mean to, but yeah. Good. I'm glad to hear that, huge ass.
I'm glad we mentioned it because I don't remember mentioning it.
That's good stuff. Yeah, that's great.
Colby asked you, or actually first, one last on the protest. So my grandfather, who's a regular viewer of this show.
Shit. Hi, Grandpa John.
Yeah, he's been struggling to get the show on his TV recently, so I got to help him with that. But if he's watching it right now, I want him to know. He told me because he couldn't go to the protest, but he said watching it on TV made him feel like he wasn't alone.
Yeah.
Just that. I know that I'm biased towards my own grandfather, but I know if he feels that way, there's so many people who feel like that feel hopeless and doomed. And like, there's nothing they can do right now. And seeing that mass movement of people, inspired people, made them have hope, made them feel like there are people around them who can fight for them and support them. If you don't find value in just that alone, if that isn't worth it for you, I really don't think your heart's in the right place.
I agree.
Anyway, Colby asked TJ, and I have no idea what he's referring to here. I'm assuming it's a you thing, but he asked TJ, who's in bigger danger with the Marines on the ground, LA citizens or LA crowds?
So, Colby, the answer to your question is the people, and I will tell you why. So, John, the reason he's asking that is there's a lot of friendly rivalry that happens, like brotherly competition and stuff with the different branches of the military, and each branch has something that other branches shit on them for. And the Marines get shit on for being the dumbest branch. They get shit on for having the lowest ASVAB scores, like the fucking grunts that get sent into a volley of fire because that's all they're good for and everything. And a lot of times people joke that they're dumb, so they eat crayons. That's what we say all the time about the Marines, that they're crayon eaters. And so, Colby, to answer your question, I say it's the citizens who are in danger because Camp Pendleton is in San Diego, California. There are plenty of Marines in California already. Crayons are already gone. They have eaten every crayon in that state, northern border to southern border, not a crayon in sight. So, yeah, the people are in danger because they're the only ones that you could possibly choose in that scenario. Good question, though. Thank you.
Speaking of LA, TJ, Jesus, it's so hard. Like, when last weekend, when that was going on, I mean, it was going on all last week, and it's still going on to major extents. But like when that went down last weekend, it was like I felt a genuine shift. Like a lot of shit Trump does, it's bad, but it's like even keeled. It doesn't raise the bar of badness. I felt like what happened in LA really raised the bar in terms of the fascism and authoritarianism that we're seeing. I mean, the LAPD, the LA motherfucking PD came out and was like, yeah, these protests are peaceful. and if you know what it takes for the LAPD to be on the right side of history, like that's a large fucking bridge to cross there. But I thought it was a significant shot across the bow to the extent that it put an extra amount of fear in me in terms of what is coming in this country. Do you feel the same way, or do you feel like this is kind of par for the course in Trump world?
I think you can feel both, right? That it is par for Trump from the Trump, of course, in the Trump world, and that things are getting worse. There was a small moment of I don't want to call it a victory, but maybe tranquility when the LAPD was talking about this, and they did say, yeah, these protests are fine. We got this under control. You don't need to federalize the National Guard to take care of this. You don't got to send Marines out to, tower and stare at the people menacingly and stuff. And the LAPD also said, yeah, I'm kind of worried about these ICE detainments because it's weakening the relationship between law enforcement and the people in the city. Did you ever see that?
Relationship between LA and the LAPD.
You're right. Yeah, I know. Right. Yeah, which is also kind of funny and everything. But the fact that it alarmed him even said, wow, This is going to make it a lot worse. And Jesus Christ, we didn't even talk about Minnesota. My God. Yeah, about relationships with cops and the people. The stress is already there. It's been there for a long time. And I guess we didn't mention what we're talking about. Trump federalized the National Guard, told Gavin Newsom, yeah, I'm going to take the National Guard. I'm going to use them as I want, which he could have done January 6th, by the way. I want to point that out to folks, that the president can do that anytime he wants, and he didn't do it on January 6th. Instead, he says, well, Nancy Pelosi stopped me, as if she's somewhere in the military chain of command. I've seen it. She's not there. Doesn't happen. And then tells Pete Hegseth, send the Marines out to guard these buildings and everything like that. The first time that has happened since the civil rights movement, since I think Eisenhower sent the National Guard to protect minorities, actually, oddly enough. That's how much the Republicans have changed in 60 years and everything. So, I do think it's bad, but I think you're right. It is a continuation of what we see in the past. And Trump is going ham, man. Also, one more thing on this, sorry, that I can't stand it. I swear I'm not going to complain this whole episode. I can complain the entire time, but I can't stand it when stuff like this happens and someone says, look, this is just a distraction. This is just a distraction to stop you from thinking. I hate that whenever anyone says that about anything, honestly, because every time someone tells me look, this is just a distraction from something worse that they're doing. I was okay, what is it? Tell me. What's the worst thing that they're doing? And it's like, oh, they're doing that in broad daylight too. They're bragging about that. Like, these aren't distractions. Everything can't be a distraction. This is just what it is, right? Evil things happen, and they do horrendous shit in broad daylight every single week, right? We can't just deflect this shit. But that's all I got to say about that.
It's not even just that it's annoying that people call it a distraction when it isn't. It is a clear misunderstanding of the intent of the Trump administration with these actions. They aren't doing this to distract from something.
No.
Like, that is a thing that politicians do. Don't get me wrong. Oftentimes, poll numbers are sinking. They drum up some crisis to make themselves look good when they solve it. Like, that is definitely a thing that politicians have done for time immemorial. That is not what is happening here. This isn't a distraction. This is the show. This is the show that he wants to put on for his followers, for Republicans. They're eating this up like catnip. He wants the photo ops of burning cars and people waving Mexican flags and riding on motorcycles. That is what he wants. It feeds Fox News. Fox News plays it. He watches Fox News. He feels big and strong. And that is the entire goal of this. And also, I mean, for Trump, for other people, such as the Stephen Millers of the world, that this is the fucking fascist playbook to a T. Now, you instigate violence against law enforcement. You use that as an excuse to escalate violence by law enforcement, and you send the military in to occupy a city against the will of that state. You can see that playbook play out in many other fascist authoritarian countries around the world. This isn't new. This isn't surprising. It's exactly what is happening. It is not a distraction. It is a main goal of this administration. And to call it a distraction, that's honestly the distraction in my mind, TJ.
And it's not a solution. It's like what dumb people say when they don't have any actual, analysis of what's going on. It's like, it's all a distraction, right? It's adding nothing to the conversation. I can't stand that shit.
So Colby mentioned, I think John had some strong opinions sent to him about the Mexican flags. This is another one where like the leftists are just being stupid. Like, yeah, fly whatever flag you want, guys. Like, don't get me wrong, but mainly fly American flags. Like just do that for the optics. Like, again, it's the same leftists who last week were in my comments, like yelling at me because I said, "Hey guys, let's wave American flags at these protests so that the optics appear to people in Middle America like Americans are being trampled on by the military." They were like, "Oh, how dare you, America? The American flag is a symbol of hate and tyranny in this imperialistic world," and yada yada yada. And then the next week they're telling me, "Oh, these peaceful protests aren't going to do anything. We need real radical change." It's like what do you want? Do you want your protest to accomplish a goal, or do you not?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even understand what the point is. And again, I'm not shaming anyone for flying a Mexican flag. We went to the protests, me and my fiance. She's a Honduran immigrant. We had an American flag and a Honduran flag stitched together, and we were waving it, right? Like, that is a message. And if you want to just wave another country's flag, go ahead and do so. But the point here is, on a larger scale, drape yourself in red, white, and blue. Put the white people out front. Make them be the ones to get attacked by the fucking police. Like, again, like, it's just optics. But make the women and children get hurt. Like that is what wins hearts and minds. The dude on a motorcycle in a skeleton mask who is waving a Mexican flag, who, by the way, is 100% a plant. He's not. He's fodder for the enemy. That he's propaganda for the enemy. That's not what we want to be doing.
Yeah, and I would love to know the argument against waving an American flag. Like once again, like John said, you don't have to. Like wave whatever flag
Yeah,
you feel
I'm
like,
not telling you have to. Yeah.
yeah, like wave whatever flag you want. But I don't understand like a strong opinion saying no, you shouldn't do that. Someone's gonna have to tell me the downside of waving an American flag during your protest. I'd love to hear it. Like, what do you think is like the bad thing that's gonna
They just
happen?
think it's morally wrong to wave an American flag in the first place. Which, like, if you're gonna make that argument, fine. But it's also morally wrong to fucking throw a brick at a police car. Like it just is. So, like, the reason that that's not like that can be justified is because of the goal that it accomplishes, and I can agree with you on that. But then you have to agree with me that waving an American flag is justified because of the goal that it accomplishes. Like it just your reasoning here is nonsensical and it doesn't follow.
Yeah, I don't understand it all. I say you're more. There are no moral victories in politics, right? There aren't. You either win or you don't. And I want to be on the side that wins. And if you have to use propaganda to win, congratulations. Just like everybody else, there's nothing special about you. You're not unique. I'm sorry that you can't sleep at night because you. And by the way, at the end of the day, we are Americans, right? Like that's like we are. You can't deny that. This isn't like waving the Confederate flag. Like none of us are Confederates. All right, they lost. They stood for their Constitution guaranteed slavery, specifically of Black people, forever. There's no reason to actually wave that flag. We are Americans, as far as I know. It's going to stay that way. There's no harm in representing that. Hey, I'm taking the symbol of our identity, of our people, and I want to use it for good. That's the best thing you can do. Like ceding that stuff away to the right. Yeah, please tell me how that helps us. I don't see it.
Doesn't make any sense.
And
Freddie May and Bernie Mac said, "Let the women and children get hurt." I hope no one clips that out of context. I hope they do. That's why I'm here. I understand that that's a great clip. That's just rage bait. Like someone, please clip that out of context. Make me look like a monster. Get everyone mad at me.
I wanted to pull up a picture, and I got it, but it's too small, and so it's unfortunate. But
because I see what you got there, and I would love to talk about it.
That's a different one, actually. But okay. Before I get to that one, there's a picture that I was trying to pull up, and it's a picture from the 1850s, I think, or maybe early 1860s. And it's a picture of two kids. They look to be about 8 or 9 years old. One is a Black boy, and one is a white girl. And the picture that was disseminated by abolitionists because both of these children were slaves. And you see, Southern slave owners had this habit of raping slave women all the time, and the resulting children were of mixed race, and they would take the mixed race girls and they would use them as house slaves, and also for sex slavery in the house for their guests or for the slave owners, the plantation owners. And this would happen over and over and over again until there were just straight up white kids. Like the kids were white as any white person but since their mother was a slave, they were also enslaved. So abolitionists saw this and said, oh, okay, this is a great chance for us to tug on the heartstrings of white people. Say, hey, look, white people are being enslaved too. And they would spread that propaganda. Now, if these leftists were around back then, I could see them say
they would have been like, "How dare you? It shouldn't matter what color their skin was."
Exactly, right? It's like, folks, do you want to win or not? And I think that's a good example of how, look, you have to live in the world that we are in, not the one that we imagine. But all right,
which, by the way, that also ended in violent revolution. But it had to get there somehow. It didn't just evaporate overnight.
Yeah, I wish people were more altruistic. I do. I wish it all day long, but you have to ultimately. Everyone's first decisions, yours, mine, conservatives, liberals, leftists, everyone's first inclination is, how does this benefit me? Every single one of us. And after that, you start thinking about other people in your circle, then people as a whole. A lot of people have a hard time voting, saying, well, this doesn't really do anything for me, but it'll do something for others. You have to get them at that level. But yeah, here's the image that John was talking about here. This was this thing I saw shared around Twitter last week. And basically, they did this ideological test of like 8 random political questions and saw how people were answering based on whether they identified as Democrats or as conservatives. And as it turned out in this study, Democrats had less ideological diversity than Republicans. Had you seen that, John?
Yes, and I have not. I've only seen this image. I have
Mhm.
not actually, like, I've been wanting to take a look at the study to see, like, okay, is this bullshit or not? But I can draw plenty of conclusions from this image.
Well, all right. So I'll tell you. Well, actually, I'll hear your conclusions first, and then I'll tell you what because I know what they did. But go ahead.
Yeah, so to me, like, when I first saw this, it was a fucking conservative. He's like,
Of
oh,
course.
look, it's the leftists who have this groupthink, and the right wingers have this diversity of thought. And it's like, I feel like, A, you're looking at this completely wrong. The left has principles,
Yeah.
logical reasoning. And when you put an input into these systems that try to be logically coherent, they tend to arrive at the same outputs. Not always the same. There's obviously plenty of infighting on the left, do not get me wrong. But for the big things, for the big picture things, we tend to agree because we have the same principles and the same logical frameworks. Whereas on the right, it's a bunch of wild fucking conspiracy theories. Everyone has their own fucking conclusions because there's no they do not require logical consistency on the right for the most part. Like, again, there are some who try very hard to be logically consistent. I'm not painting with a totally broad brush here, but for the most part, being logically consistent is not nearly as highly valued on the right as it is on the left. And therefore, you end up with a bunch of wild differing viewpoints, not because there's less groupthink, but because there's just less consistency in the way people think.
Yeah, yeah. And I have my thoughts on that too. They're very similar. And I want to, well, actually, I'll say it right now. So I think that the primary reason on this is people on the left tend to have a more logically consistent and like grounded philosophy that what we kind of rotate around, and that's going to lead you to similar conclusions. The right does also have a grounding philosophy, and that is we support Donald Trump. That's it. Like that is it. And you will find, and these are so they asked these questions. There's 8 of them. I don't know if you guys can read these, but the questions that they built this map around, this chart around, or statements. Number 1, abortion should be legal. Number 2, the government. Oh, sorry. Abortion should be illegal. The government should take steps to make incomes more equal. All unauthorized migrants should be sent back to their home country. The federal budget for welfare programs should be increased. Lesbian, gay, trans couples should be allowed to legally marry. The government should regulate businesses to protect the environment. The federal government should make it more difficult to buy a gun. The federal government should make a concerted effort to improve social and economic conditions for African Americans. And they kind of based it all on those questions right there. And I think you can see the issue is here that you can find people who say, I love Donald Trump, I'm a Republican, I'll support him, anything, who will say, yeah, I don't care about gay marriage. That happens. The libertarians, right? You can see them saying any one of those things because all that shit doesn't really matter. And the test is kind of flawed too, because those questions were built around essentially the American's idea, your average American's idea of an Overton window. Because you can make a reverse chart very easily. All you have to do is put something like socialism is a force for good in the world or whatever. You're going to have Democrats who spread far out on that one. You're not going to have a concerted answer from all the Democrats there. You could say something like, I think that trans rights are a preeminent issue that we should focus on 24/7. You're going to have Democrats scattered all over the place on that one. But with that list of questions right there, of course the chart's going to look like that because there's a lot of ideological diversity on the left that people just don't think about because they're kind of intellectualized.
Yeah, the ideological diversity on the left just doesn't make it in mainstream discourse.
No.
And it's what I see so many people in my comments, and I imagine that right wingers get this too. Don't get me wrong, but there's so many times where I'll say whatever, it doesn't fucking matter, and I'll be like, "Oh, but you Democrats also believe this," or like, "You Democrats supported Joe Biden doing this," or whatever. I'm like, "No, we did not." There was a lot of fucking fighting about this on the left, whatever the thing is, and I don't know if it's like conservatives kind of fall in line and so they assume that the left does so too. I don't know exactly what it is, but I would imagine there is more ideological diversity overall on the right because there's just more wackadoo shit on the right. You know, like that. There just is. And we understand intersectionality and how different things are related on the left. And they love to make fun of us for that. They'll be like, oh, this thing is also important. Thing of the week, you know, the fucking meme with the insert the chip thing. And it's like, yeah, because we actually understand that all of these things are related. We don't just look at things in a vacuum and decide how we feel about them. And then that's just what our fucking answer is.
Yeah, Colby said it right. Republicans turn away no one. That's true. Like Republicans will take anyone, no matter what you say, what you believed in the past, as long as you support the current cause that they're on. They're like, all right, let's go. We're on board here. It's kind of dark and sad. Okay. Oh man. So John, well, actually, do we have any questions here? So a lot of comments here.
I see some comments here. I'll just cold read Kyle here. Kyle says that if you frame it in trickery and deception, you might get more leftists on board, but the flag on the left represents the imperial impression of the country many fight against. That said, my dad flies the flag because he's not American and he views it as a symbol of freedom. He is thinking of taking it down given ICE raids. Yeah, no, and I get that, you know, leftists think the American flag represents imperial oppression, and like that's fine, but like it also doesn't. Like you know how we say, TJ, like you can't take just the good about your country without acknowledging the bad, because that's what leads to toxic blood and soil style nationalism that just inverts your mind and warps your way of thinking. It works the other way too. Like that same framework applies in reverse. You can't just take the bad and not acknowledge the good. Like if you're sitting here and telling me America is an imperialist nation that has done untold amounts of harm to the world, I will agree with you. But like if you sit here and tell me they haven't done any good in the world, there's nothing good about America. No, that's just not fucking true. Like you need to go outside and touch grass. You need to go and talk to some fucking Americans. Like it's just not the way it is. America has also done untold amounts of good for the world. Like you have to take the good with the bad and weigh them both equally.
Yeah, and once again, I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to suggestions. If you have a symbol that will more easily rally people to your side than the American flag, I'd love to see it. I'd love, especially if I'm for a political cause. I have like John said, the optics. We act like optics don't matter. That's what bothers me, is that they pretend that optics are just something that people use to deflect from pushing forward leftist causes. No, optics mean more than you could possibly imagine. People die for symbols, man. I mean, I wish the world were more cerebral. I wish it were, but it's not. And I choose to live in the world that is, not the one I create. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, and Colby knows exactly how to get his comment on this show, because he just like reads my threads and knows
nice.
The points that piss me off. And so he says, John, I heard you personally responsible for skipping a primary and picking Harris, but now you want due process for immigrants. I do get this all the time, TJ, where people are like, oh, you Democrats completely skipped your primary and just anointed Kamala Harris, and you want to talk about democracy? And I'm like, bro, when do you think I was part of that fucking decision? Like what? Like I don't understand here. What the fuck they think? Yeah, no, I'm pissed about that too, bro. Like again, we are very upset. There was a whole hullabaloo. I don't know how you missed it, but this was like the only thing the news talked about for a month. Like I don't know how you think that was a decision made by the rank and file Democrats. And if you do, it would have been kind of democratic now, wouldn't have been.
Yeah, it's just how they think. They support everything that Trump does, so they assume that we support everything the Biden administration did. It's why whenever you criticize something about Trump, they don't defend it. They say, well, what about Biden? I mean, you're like, okay, well, I didn't support that. Yeah, you did. You're lying, lib. Of course you're lying. I don't know. It's obnoxious, but all right. So I wanted to talk about the fact that Israel bombed Iran a couple days ago, and I figured that would be the big news story for a while. No, I forgot about it. I forgot that's actually what got this whole thing going here. And I was like, wow, they sent bombs into Tehran, it's the capital of Iran, for those of you who don't know. And Iran responded, and Israel's fired, and Iran is fired. Israel has they essentially destroyed, I guess, Iran's equivalent of our Joint Chiefs of Staff. They took out a whole bunch of high-ranking military officials. They killed a few nuclear scientists with extreme precision, I might add. I want to point that out, that Israel is more than capable of sending a drone through a window instead of blowing up an entire building. They made that very clear with this bomb, something that they told us they couldn't do, something that just wasn't possible when they're attacking Gaza. And I was curious to see how the Trump administration would react to this, because I figured that, like a lot of people, Israel wouldn't have done this without U.S. approval. The last thing they would ever do is to risk. I think I saw a chart saying since 1990 we've given $250 billion to the state of Israel, and they're like, okay, they're not going to risk that funding. They're going to get approval first. So I want to see if Trump kind of like, wow, this is the first I'm hearing about this. I don't really support this, and back off, which he did for like 6 hours. But ever since then, he's been going to town. And he posted this today where it says, Iran should have signed the deal I told them to sign. What a shame and what a waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. A truly terrifying tweet right there. Also, I know Trump doesn't watch the show. He should. But if you want people to take you seriously, maybe don't put deal in quotes. Maybe don't put quotes around the word deal. That kind of makes it seem like it was a sham from the beginning. But, John, what are your thoughts? I don't know what I did here. Iran. Fuck. There we go. Iran nuclear war. You win or out? What do you think? Good or bad?
I mean, definitely bad, TJ. So honestly, like, I saw that tweet. I was like heading into jiu-jitsu, parked my car, opened my phone, checked something, and then I saw that, and I was just like, fuck, is Tehran about to be nuked? Like that is the level of gravity that we were talking about here. And nothing has happened so far. I hope nothing has happened in the last 40 minutes since we've been recording this show.
Boy.
But like that's we are on high alert. Like, I'm going through all of the bad scenarios in my head. And the weird thing about this situation, there's so many weird things about this situation. Where do I even fucking start, TJ? Let's just start from the top. You're right. They did this without American support and approval. Like, they just went and they pulled off this military operation, which, by the way, must have taken months and months and months of planning. Like, they must have been planning to do this with or without American approval, and they decided to do it without American approval, and they preemptively strike Iran. Netanyahu says it's because they're days away from developing a nuclear bomb, which is something Netanyahu has been saying for the past 25 fucking years. One of the major reasons we invaded fucking Iraq is because because Netanyahu said that fucking Saddam had nuclear weapons. Like, it's the same exact lie from the same exact person. I'm not even saying country, TJ. I'm not even saying country. I'm saying the same literal human being said the same lie to get us to do the invasion of Iraq, which we all now agree was wrong. And here's your opportunity, people. Here's your opportunity to prove that you learned your lesson, that this wouldn't happen again. And yet here we are, TJ. Here we are with gosh darn fucking, oh my God, the no new wars Republicans just being like, yeah, let's go to fucking war with Iran. Like, I cannot believe it, TJ. There's so many levels. There's so many things, right? Excuse me, guys. There's so many things right now that are pissing me off. And that might be the most embarrassing one among them. That we are right back in 2003 again. It's very upsetting. It's very, for someone who grew up and didn't understand what was going on at that time, and to have learned what happened and been like, oh, damn, all the adults that raised me were dumbasses. But at least we learned our lesson. To now be like, oh, fuck no, we're all still dumbasses. It's such a dark, depressing fucking episode.
So that cough made me nervous, John. I think that either the Trump administration or the Israeli government has given John COVID. They're going to take him out or something like this. But
TJ, we were off last week because we got replaced. These are just clones of John and TJ spreading new propaganda for someone.
Been a long time coming. The original TJ deserved a break, folks. The guy gets worked to the bone. Okay, so as one of the people who was an adult when one of the dumbass adults that John was talking about who supported the Iraq War. For those of you who aren't old enough to remember, let me show you what it looked like back in 2002 during the lead up to the Iraq War. It looked exactly like this.
Exclusive satellite images revealing the location of a previously unknown Iranian nuclear site. Now, the facility spans nearly 2,500 acres, and this is a big discovery. Jillian Turner has more from the State Department. Good morning, Jillian.
Pretty explosive, Dana. These satellite images that we have obtained exclusively show the alleged site location and even the layout of the secret, previously unknown nuclear weapons facilities inside Iran. The National Council of Resistance of Iran has collected intelligence from sources on the ground inside Iran that locate this nuclear weapons facility in what is called Semnan province, far from the regime's already known nuclear sites. It's codenamed the Rainbow Site by Iran's official.
All right, so John, I don't know if you've seen that clip yet, but it is eerily similar to the way that Fox News and honestly every other news outlet back in the day was pushing these narratives. Like, well, wouldn't you know it? We got some brand new information, hot off the presses, that this rival state of ours has potentially has dangerous weapons, like that we had until now we had no idea they existed, and it's time we do something about it. Also, I do like the fact that these folks they live under the thumb of the Ayatollah and have the balls to call themselves the Rainbow Brigade. These folks are tough, right? We can't take this threat too seriously. And last thing I want to point out is that person right there, the news anchor. I am 100% sure that is Dana Perino. And this is really funny because I remember Dana Perino. She was George W. Bush's press secretary. So it's actually really, really funny that she's, making her rounds again, talking about the same shit, talking us into another war. Had you seen that or something like that?
I mean, I hadn't seen that specific clip. I have seen stuff like that. I mean, let me just get the story straight here.
Yeah.
So Iran has this secret nuclear weapons
Four
facility.
of them.
Four of them that we had no idea about. Maybe our most surveilled global rival, at least in the top 5. No fucking clue. Back in March, when Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, was saying, and I quote, Iran is not developing a nuclear weapon, that was, we just missed it. We just fucking missed it. And then, coincidentally, after Israel made a preemptive strike on Iran's nuclear facility, saying it was because they have nuclear weapons, that's when we finally found it. Again, not satellite images of this nuclear facility that we just never checked that part of Google Maps before, TJ. If we had checked, we would have noticed this, and we would have already went to war with Iran. But we're luckily seeing this now. Like, how fucking stupid are people? I'm not even saying how fucking stupid do they think we are. How fucking who's buying this garbage?
Another thing about that too is the source that they have for this. I'm glad you brought this up because if you remember the clip, she said that we have new intelligence from the Council of Resistance of Iran, an organization I'd never heard of. So I looked them up. And the Council of Resistance of Iran is a political organization calling to overthrow the Islamic Republic of Iran. That's the only reason this place exists. It's the only reason this place exists is exclusively to overthrow Iran. It's like, well, surprise, they found something that would lead to the overthrowing of the Iranian government. It is comical because you're right. Like, oh, who's going to believe this? Who is really going to believe that? Wow, all these. It's exactly. Then again, it worked 20 years ago, so they figured they can do it again. There will be more resistance. I think that your average American definitely isn't going to support this war of Iran, and a few Republicans have spoken out against it. I think, though, that once the first bomb drops, they're going to fall in line. The Republicans, at least, and the MAGA folks. I don't think your average American will. And this is a great clip from who's that libertarian guy?
Thomas Massey.
No, he's not in politics. Dave Smith. But I saw him on Crystal and Sauger's show. Did you see him talking about this? Okay, I'll pull up the clip that he's a big Trump supporter and everything. I'll find it later. But yeah, this is it's kind of scary because like how quickly Trump has moved on this has been surprising to me. I thought he would draw this out and take some time, but he seems to be speed running this shit. All the posts that he's making, the tweet from Mike Huckabee. I don't know if you saw that
my
weird ass
fucking
tweet.
God.
That was
Let's read that on the show.
Oh, you
that
got it?
was oh my God. Yeah, I got it here. I'll pull it up. This was one of the most disgusting things that I have seen.
And for
like
John,
go ahead.
Yeah, well, John's looking for this. But Mike Huckabee, you guys may or may not remember him. Mike Huckabee was a large figure. I shouldn't have used that one. He was a big guy, a prominent figure in American politics for a very long time. He was governor of Arkansas. His daughter, Sarah, is the current governor of Arkansas. Huge Christian evangelical. He is the current ambassador to Israel. And Donald Trump sent, after he said, well, we can't trust Iran. I can't let them have a nuclear weapon. He got a text from Mike Huckabee that he shared on his Truth Social. I think John's got it here.
It is just insane. Also, by the way, hilarious screenshot of this text. Like,
have you ever seen?
I've never seen a text screenshot like this. I don't know what device Donald Trump is using to screenshot this. Very funny. But Mike Huckabee texts Donald Trump and says, "Mr. President, God spared you in Butler, PA, to be the most consequential president in a century, maybe ever. The decisions on your shoulders I would not want to be made by anybody else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one voice that matters, his voice. I am your appointed servant in this land and am available to you, but I do not try to get in your presence often because I trust your instincts. No president in my lifetime has been in a position like yours, not since Truman in 1945. I don't reach out to persuade you, only to encourage you. I believe you will hear from heaven, and that the voice is far more important than mine or anyone else's. You sent me to Israel to be your eyes, ears, and voice, and to make sure our flag flies above the embassy. My job is to be the last one to leave. I will not abandon this post. Our flag will not come down. You did not seek this moment. This moment sought you. It is my honor to serve you. Mike Huckabee." Oh my fucking God. It is like word for word what the fucking religious zealot, like fucking Rasputin character would say in a fucking movie to the emperor. Like it is insane. You have to be the most fucking crazy evangelical fucking religious nut job to see that and be like, not scared. Like, oh my God, that is terrifying.
Yeah, Hugh just wrote, "What a beta." Yes, exactly. Yeah, the supplication, just the obeisance and like the bowing and kissing Trump's ass. The message flipped between being a proud soldier and like being a worshiper of Donald Trump. It was really strange. It was really weird. Yeah, and the evangelical stuff just pours out of it, just saying that this is my mission from God. And what the fuck was with the Truman reference? Like, what? Okay, for those of you wondering,
TJ, you know exactly what was with the Truman reference.
Yeah, for those of you wondering why we're saying that, is because President Harry S. Truman, only person in human history to order atomic bombs dropped on other people, and he did it twice. He did it twice, folks. And so, yeah, I don't see how this is anywhere comparable to World War II. I don't. Okay, you're gonna have to do a lot of work to convince me of that. But yeah, Mike Huckabee is a crazy religious zealot. Trump is not, right? But Trump knows he needs the support of the crazy religious zealots, and so he's like, "Oh yeah." And I don't think he coerced Huckabee into writing that. I think that Huckabee really did say, "Oh, here's the chance," because you got to realize Mike Huckabee is an actual crazed religious radical, like an evangelical conservative who believes that a war in the Middle East will trigger Armageddon and the end of the world. He's looking for Jesus to descend from the clouds, riding a horse, shooting swords out of his mouth. Not a joke. That's what the Bible says. And like, that's what he wants. That he thinks that this is a good thing, and that, it didn't happen last time, because that's what they thought the last time we invaded the Middle East too. George W. Bush went to Jacques Chirac, the president of France, trying to enlist his help to invade Iraq. And Jacques Chirac said no. And they asked him why. He says, well, he sat down and started talking to me about the fact that the demons of Gog and Magog are moving in the Middle East, and that it's our job to stop it. And I said, this is insane. I'm not getting involved in this. And now we got the same people influencing Trump. Now, I don't think that's why he wants to invade Iran, but they're the ones in his corner.
We'll get to that in a second. But first, Colby saved a zinger for us. He said, I wanted to save this one for this show. It's telling for Pride Month. Mike got on his knees for Trump. There's gay porn less gay than this. And yeah, that was one of the gayest texts I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. Like, oh my God. That
was great.
And that is a good point here. The reason Trump wants this is because it makes him look strong. Like, he wants to look like the big tough guy. Like, he doesn't particularly care about Israel or the religious shit or any of it, really. Like, again, Trump's only driving principle is, does this make me look good? You know, and good being from his perspective. And is it going to play on Fox News? Is it going to look good? Is it going to look cool that I'm this strong military leader? Yes, it is. I'm in on it. Now, the funny thing about that is Bibi's playing him like a fucking toddler. Like, he didn't approve this. Bibi just went and did it and is forcing him into this war. And he's just falling for it, hook, line, and sinker. He's being played like a fucking fiddle, and he's too dumb to realize it. And everyone around him is too either scared to tell him otherwise, or they're like Mike Huckabee and fucking want him to nuke Iran. Like, it's a really bad situation.
It's either that or Trump's just really mad nobody liked his birthday party. Like
that's also probably part of it.
He's been stewing on it for days, and he's like, oh, everyone thinks I have a shitty military. Well, I'll show them. I got the last word on this. I'll show exactly how strong I am. So this is the clip I was talking about. I don't know if you recognize that guy in the middle. His name's Dave Smith. He's a libertarian. I've seen him a lot. He was one of the reluctant Trump supporters, like they all are, you know, and here he is talking about how shocking, he may have been wrong about this Trump guy.
About coming back to the negotiating table. It's like sitting after Pearl Harbor and telling FDR, now's the time to go negotiate with the Japanese. Right. Negotiations are over now. The time for negotiations was before this. And so, yeah, Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one. Wow. And not on some like not on some ridiculous Nancy Pelosi. Of course, the Congress will never do it because they're all a bunch of, you know, corrupt hacks.
This is the one thing they support. This is like
Donald Trump should be impeached and removed for this. All of his supporters should turn on him. It's the absolute betrayal of everything that he ran and campaigned on and everything that he stood for. And I will say, despite the fact that, you know, Donald Trump supporters have been labeled like a cult following, and that certainly is true for a percentage of his supporters, he is going to lose his coalition over this. I know I don't just speak for myself when I say there are a lot of us who simply will not go along with this. So.
All right. So first, I want to thank Dan Dave for apologizing for voting for Donald Trump. Apology not accepted. Apology not fucking accepted, buddy. I mean, if you think that, oh, Donald Trump really means it, he really clearly is an anti-war president. The guy who assassinated an Iranian general for no fucking reason when he was president, that could have easily started this exact same war. That guy, you're shocked, you're amazed, you just cannot believe this guy would allow this to happen. And to the guy who is the reason we're in this fucking situation in the first place. The fact that we already had a deal with Iran when Trump got into office the first time, sabotaged it simply because he didn't like Barack Obama. That's it. There was no reason other than that. Failed to get one done since then. And now Iran's like, okay, well, yeah, we're going to keep enriching uranium. Like what? I would. It's the first thing I would do. The only way you can guarantee that you're safe from Israel, the United States, or a lot of other Western powers is to have a nuclear weapon. We found this out many, many times. I don't blame them for a second. And who the fuck are we to say who does and who does not get to have nuclear weapons? The only people who have ever killed folks with nuclear weapons, we're going to say we're the moral authority. We are trying to take the fucking high ground on this. Absolutely insane. And I want to get your opinion on this, John, because I'm not sure where you're going to go with this. But his statement there that the Trump coalition is going to turn on him, why? Why would you expect that? I mean, I think that the American people are not going to go for it. I don't think there's going to be any chance that we're going to have close to a majority support for even like casual, casual is the wrong word, but airstrikes against Iran, like any military action with our weapons or our personnel to attack the Iranian people or the Iranian government. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the base, the core MAGA folks, they aren't going anywhere. They're going to find every way they can to support this. I'm not sure what you think, though.
So I think that this is a real wedge issue within the Trump coalition. And I think it kind of matters to what extent he gets involved. If the extent he gets involved is kind of the extent he is right now, it's going to cause friction and infighting, but it's not going to break the coalition. If he starts, airstriking or assisting Israel in some military capacity, other than defensively, that's where it becomes a gray area for me. I would probably lean towards your side of this of, yeah, it's going to cause some issues. There's going to be some hurt feelings and whatnot, but the coalition's going to stay together. If he decides to go to war and put Americans on the ground in Iran, I think that would break the coalition. Like, I think that you would see a break there, because that Americans would hate that more, as even Republicans would hate that more than they love Trump. Like, his ability to break Republicans would go out the window, and you would see staunch Republican resistance against this, and not just your Thomas Massey's of the world, but like there is a lot of Republicans, even in Trump world, that are very much against this, and you can't, unless there is some massive false flag operation, which is something I'm very scared about. I just can't imagine that wouldn't cause massive catastrophic problems, because this is not America of 2003, where the majority of Americans support invading Iraq. I think it's something like 24% of Americans support military engagement with Iran. That's not even an invasion of Iran. That's just any military engagement. 24% American support. That's about as low of American support for war as you could possibly fucking imagine, TJ. So, like, I do think it's a real liability for him if he were to pursue that option.
I think that if I were Donald Trump, what I would do is I would start with exactly what you said. You start with airstrikes. You start with drone strikes. You start with if I am going to get involved, first I would start with arming Israel, which we're already doing, and giving them more money, giving them more supplies. Israel says, all right, Iran's a pretty big target. We can't handle it on our own. We're going to drone strike. We're going to use our missile capabilities. Then I would move. It'd be kind of like a reverse of what we did in Iraq. Then I would move into special forces targeting. I would send American troops in, but only like in small units for special forces stuff. And in occasion that we had to, I would send in, like larger units for support and for training. Because you do it that way, they're going to follow you. Right? They're going to say that, because once you start with the airstrikes and you start with the special forces stuff, you start with the training, you start with support. By the time that we're already in there, they've spent so much fucking time defending Donald Trump that they're in on it. And I have so many clips for this for tomorrow. I can't wait. It's already 7:35, but I have so many clips on this because it's creepy. It's so weird, man, seeing this exact same thing. Because we talked about this with Israel. It's been so bizarre watching how we haven't learned any lessons at all. No lessons whatsoever. Like this Israel thing is, actually, we're kind of cool with genocide. Like we're kind of cool with violence in the Middle East. We say we're not, but we're fine with it. And if they can convince enough people that, the Iranians actually, which they have for a long time, that Iran is a huge threat to the safety of the world and to you and your family, I think that peeling off a few, like every Republican, will take a lot less work than one would guess.
Yeah, it is time to wrap it up here, TJ, and I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
Oh God, yes.
Of everything there's a talk. We didn't talk about the legitimate assassination that happened on Saturday. Assassination attempt of a senator, a legitimate assassination of state lawmakers in Minnesota. We didn't talk about Padilla on, I think, Friday, getting manhandled and detained by Homeland Security. We didn't talk about Brad, and I'm just completely blanking on his last name now, the comptroller of New York City, being arrested by ICE today. There's so much that we have.
Garcia is back. Yeah, I mean, so much has happened. Yeah,
so much. So yeah, we'll be talking 2 hours, no guests tomorrow, just me and TJ, catching up on all of the crazy shit that's happened in the past, week and change since we've been on this show. So see you guys then. I'm excited for it, TJ.
I am too.
We're going to talk for 2 hours, and it's still going to feel like we didn't get enough done. So see you guys tomorrow. Colby asked, if we do go to war in the Middle East, would you like to see the president's drive the president's drive.
The president's not allowed to drive. I think that's where he's going with this. But yeah, we'll answer it tomorrow.
Okay, I understand. Yes, yeah, he should. You know what? If there's anyone that should text and drive, it's one person in the White House. But yes, Hugh, tomorrow, 6:30, Wednesday, not Thursday, because TJ has a real job. All right, see you guys later.
Later, guys. Bye. Oh boy.